Okay, so I have this MacBook Pro that I got back in 2019, and it's the first Mac that I've ever owned. Um, I've been a PC user since 1989 when I owned a Tandy EX from Radio Shack, and so we've come a long ways in our computer technology. But so one of the reasons I switched to the Mac was because I had an iPhone. I started with an iPhone, and then went to a 11 Pro on the phone, and I bought an iPad next, and then I have an Apple Watch there, and so one of the things I noticed is that the way that things will integrate into each of these devices. So I decided, well, why not have a PC that does all that? And so this Mac can take your phone calls and FaceTime and the email and texting and everything all is integrated to these devices together. So when I purchased this, I didn't realize that the hard drive is not replaceable on these. I think somewhere around 2016 is when they changed all that, so that the hard drive is actually soldered in or built into the motherboard. So you can't really replace the hard drive if it's too small. You want to, change and move up like you were traditionally been able to do. And this one here, I bought it with a 121 gig hard drive capacity. So I wasn't thinking ahead on that one, and so now I've come in a couple situations where I needed more space, and when I went to the Big Sur upgrade, I had to clear out a whole bunch of things off the hard drive to be able to make room for that upgrade to happen. So I don't want to trade this in and upgrade it, so I looked at other options on YouTube. See if, first of all, could you actually upgrade the hard drive, the solid state drive on this? And you might be able to, but it seems like a lot of work, and I really don't want to tear into this thing. So what I did was I did some looking around at the other idea was to get an external hard drive and see about using that as a way to add more storage. So with all the YouTube videos that I looked at, I came across maybe the best option, and that was to purchase this enclosure here by OWC Envoy. This one is and the reason I chose this one is because it's the one that's the only enclosure that I saw that has a true Thunderbolt connection as part of the controller on the enclosure. And also I wanted to get something that was less expensive than buying an actual Thunderbolt external SSD. So I looked at the idea of getting a enclosure, and then also I purchased this SX8200 XPG SSD chip, and so I'm going to take these and put those together. Now, one of the benefits of doing that is that I bought this as a 1 terabyte, and having the two separate components, well, it kind of makes sense in that if for example, if you were to somehow mess up the cable, for example, on the enclosure, well, then you could just buy another enclosure and take the SSD card out and put it in a new enclosure. Or if the SSD goes bad, you can just replace the SSD and put it in the enclosure. So in that respect, it's maybe a better idea to get it set up that way. So anyway, I'm going to unbox all this. I'm not going to put you through all the boring video of doing all that, but you know, this thing here says it's 300% faster than any of the fastest USB 3.0 options, and 50% faster than the fastest Thunderbolt 3 compatible option. So that's impressive. I thought this cost about $80 for the enclosure. So, and you had to buy it through OWC. They don't sell these on Amazon even at this point. But you can see there where this picture here, this is what I'm going to do. I also got some Velcro strips here somewhere that I'm going to use to put that on there, and Velcro strips, so I'll put those on. But we're going to put this together, and then we'll do a little tests on it to see what kind of performance we can get out of this. So we'll be back with that. So we're going to unbox this chip. And there's the chip, and it's got the heat strip that goes on there. So all right, so I have that, and then it's also the the enclosure, and here's what it includes. And the drives that are supported for it. So it's take that out of there. It's nicely protected, and this is first time I'm pulling this out, so looks like it has an adhesive piece back here, so you can pull that off and stick it to the back end of your monitor on the Mac. So all right, so I'll get busy and get this thing pulled apart. Pretty long cable too. You remove the screws. There's 2 screws. There, you remove those. And then there's another screw that you remove from here. And there's the hard drive. So you key it up like so. And that goes in there just like that. It's going to stick up. You're going to push it down, and then we'll put the screw in. Okay, so we got this secured in here. Looks like it comes with a thermal tape already fastened on the cover here. Thing that I was a little surprised it didn't come with the instructions. So they said on the this sheet that they included to send you to this website to find the manuals. Isn't that nice? It got a little blue link there, just like you could really click on that. Anyway, so you go there and you can read on how to install the drive, and this plastic piece slides off here too with the adhesive backing on here. So all right, we'll put it back together. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and plug this drive in. So we'll Thunderbolt ports are down here. We'll plug it in, and let's see what happens here. Okay, so the disk you attached was not readable by this computer, so we're going to select initialize. All right. Select the data SX8200. All right, we'll call it the. All right, so we're going to test the external drives. And look at that. It's like twice as fast as the internal drive is. This read speed's a little bit better, but the write speed definitely is twice as fast as the internal drive. All right, so pretty impressive. All right, so we got this mount. It had adhesive backing, so just secure it to my Mac. I have this the shell that I bought for it to protect it, so I would recommend that you get that instead of sticking it to the back end of the lid of your Mac, just in case something gets messed up. You can change the that lid. Use this shell, but this thing just slides right on here, so it slides in like that, and there it goes. It's secure, so that's pretty good. And you can just lift it up like that, and it's stuck to the back end of this thing. So, and all right. So now I've got the SSD formatted, and I've created some folders on there. One of the folders I created was called Applications, and then I created an alias so that I could put it on the desktop, so I could get to it quickly, like so. And then I formatted it so that it's shows up with the icons, very similar to the Launchpad. So very similar, except for the sidebar here. But I did a move. GarageBand, iMovie are huge apps, and if you look at the size of these things, yeah, iMovie is like 2.7 gigs. GarageBand 1.37, and then Keynote app, Pages, they're almost half a gig. So move those. I was able to do a move by holding the Command key down and moving them down to my SSD, which I created a folder called Applications. So there's the Applications alias. It's just sitting on the desktop over here, so I can get a quick access to the applications. I also set up, you have to go in and configure your photos as well, your iMovie, libraries. Those can be, when you go into your like the photos, you can set the preferences on photos. So you open up the photo app, you can go to preferences, and you can point it to wherever you want it to go from there. So right here it shows it's going to my external pictures and then my photo library. So it is sitting now on the SSD. Same goes for iMovie, and when I load the iMovie software or app, it same thing there. You can, and that's loading right off the SSD, so it loads up pretty fast. But same thing here. You can change the preferences to where you want that to be pointing. But yeah, that the apps, once you move them over there, they launch pretty quickly off the SSD. Like Opera here comes right up very quickly. All right, so I'm going to show you how you can download apps and install them onto the SSD. So I'm in Safari. I have set my Safari preferences. So I've set the download folder. So it's should be on my SSD. So let's just make sure. Downloads and select. All right. So that's where it's going to go. So click download now, and go download Mac OS. So it is now downloading, and it should be downloading to my downloads folder, and there it is. All right, so we can launch it from there. So let's go ahead and launch this thing. All right, so we're ready to install this. So I'm just going to drag this over here. And now it's copying it to the SSD. So I had the folder, I went to the applications folder on the SSD and just dragged it over to that. Just to, I suppose it'll work the other way, but just to make sure it goes where it needs to go. All right, so there is the LibreOffice. It's now installed on my SSD, and we can launch it. And we'll say yes, open it. there it is. And it's running off my SSD, and the didn't use up very much space there, but it definitely didn't use any space on my local hard drive. So I, as you can see, only got about 29 gigs left on this. So having an external works really nice. And so I was also able to add the additional libraries, the sound libraries, to my GarageBand, which it said I didn't have enough space before. So when I did the upgrade, it didn't give me that error anymore. So there you have it. The external SSD works very well. You can load apps. I've seen also on YouTube videos that you can install games and so on. The speed on this SSD is quite fast. Being a true Thunderbolt controller has something to do with that, no doubt, which gives it the great performance that we saw earlier. And getting the Type-C connection, those I've watched some of those videos, they weren't quite as the performance wasn't quite as well. So the cost of this doing this SSD do-it-yourself, it cost me about $200. It was $80 for the enclosure and $120 for the for this SXX 8200 Pro SD card. So not a bad value. So $200. I saw prices around $300 for just the complete unit, which was Thunderbolt 3. And you can get them less than that, but they're going to come with that USB-C connection, and don't think the performance is quite as good, but it may be adequate for what you're doing with it. I just wanted to make sure I had the best performance when putting that SSD. I didn't want to sell out on that performance part of it. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and make any comments and give any thumbs up or whatever. But thanks for watching, and hope to see you in the next video.